The alternative is that if we have questions, we could go to Jennifer, right? And say, see the expenses for whatever for every year, et cetera.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if the public wants something like that, then they have to go to Jennifer and actually, you know, they want to get real stickly on things, public records request and all that kind of stuff, which I don't think that we do, but I would hope not. And, you know, but then Jennifer's inundated with people want the information, but if they get it out in the board packet, then, you know, anybody can look at it. You know, go to the website, look at the agenda, and
Is there any harm in trying it for a couple of months without?
Well, yeah, we'll talk
No,
about
that's-
too. Yeah.
Well, I guess to simplify my question is if we're all on the same page and we're not doing anything with it, I can just skim past it. I just, like I say, I was in there, so I thought we were supposed to go through it.
I kind of skim through it, and if something pops out, I'll look at it and see what it is, and then, you know, go on. But most of the time, it's just generic stuff that's there every month, and, you know. But yeah, to each their own, I guess, on how they want to look at it. But that's the way I look at the one that I get, is I go through, kind of skim it. If there's something that catches my eye, I'll ask questions about it. But other than that, it's just kind of informational.
The one that replaced the board members down here, where it's the board, but that's where the big checks are. If you want to just look at the
No, I would think
big
all the
checks.
things, yeah, it was all on, so everything on.
Yeah. So, that answer your question?
Yep.
Aaron, do you have anything? Okay. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, request for agenda modifications. Does anybody see that anything that they need modified on here?
I have a question on that. So, and we're all meeting to go to, like, there's no spot for others, so if we have things to bring up at a meeting, so on the agenda, this is, we get an agenda, and I don't know if there's things to bring up, are we supposed to get a hold of Michelle ahead of time, or is there a spot for other during the meeting? So we get to the meeting, you go through the whole agenda, and you get to the end, and there's no spot for other topics.
And we want to bring that up to Rick before
Yeah.
the meeting.
Most of the time, if you have something that you want, okay, we get this usually like last Friday. If you see that there's something missing off of it that you want to talk about, you know, give me a call or email me or text me. Text is probably the best way. And say,
Within what we have, would requests for agenda modifications, would that be that, or would it be a VM, would it be a board?
that would work in under agenda modifications if there's something you want to put on.
And I don't have anything, I'm just curious.
I'm saying, if you do have something, that would be a spot for it, but the earlier the better, so that maybe we can get it out to the rest of the board if there's something that you want to discuss or something, and then they'll have a chance to see it too, so. All right.
I think that would be better than modifying the agenda.
Well, just depends on what it is and when it comes up, you know.
Understood, but I don't think we should be changing the agenda at the last minute before a meeting.
Well, no, because it's already went out to the general public, and if we put something on the agenda that somebody else might want to have this conversation about or have input on, then they don't get the chance to do that the night of. So
Well, I understand that, it's just that happened last month, and I don't think we should do it that way. I think if we have something on the agenda that's not going to happen, we still leave it on the agenda, don't erase it like it didn't exist. Just go through and you know, we get to that line item and we say, okay, there's no report tonight, and move on. That, to me, I don't know, I could be wrong, that to me also adds to transparency, rather than making something disappear and nothing being said about.
Okay.
And also,
That's fair enough.
yeah, if it's something that's not truly time critical, that's where right at the end of the meeting, next meeting agenda items, that's where you say, well, I would like to have this added to the next agenda.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yep.
So hearing no modifications, we will move on to student government report.
Hi, I'm Colin. So, yeah. We had a great homecoming week last week, 2 weeks ago. And we had a lot of activities, everything went great, the students really loved it. Coming up, we have haunted halls on October 28th. Admission will be $5. The event will go from 7 to 9 p.m. We have a tailgater on the 27th for football senior night, and we've been working pretty hard on that. Veterans Day Assembly is coming up November 9th. It starts at 10:30, and everybody, or veterans and the community members are welcome to attend. And the last thing is we have a blood drive coming up on November 14th. We're looking for 65 donations. If you have any questions.
What was that on the 14th?
Blood drive.
Oh, okay.
I have a question, the haunted house, can you tell me the haunted house? Repeat the date and time, please.
It is,
The 28th from 7 to 9.
admission is $5.
Is that geared towards kids of all ages?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Question. On the Veterans Assembly, do you guys reach out to the local veterans? How do they know?
Yeah, we're trying to reach out to local veterans, and then any veteran that is allowed to come. We're trying to get as many veterans there as possible.
And I don't know who runs like that reader board in town, done by the veterans?
Youth Post,
Is that?
Youth Post.
With the city.
In the city.
So then that might be something just for the veterans to try to reform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that at the high school?
Yes.
Don't all the buildings usually have veterans assembly?
Yeah, all the schools have one.
But also, years past, the middle school has always been kind of one that I've always heard about from.
High school always had good veterans assembly. I know the middle school does as well. I'm not sure about elementary school. Do they not?
I think it
When
was.
is it? Right?
There's a similar. We usually do go on.
Not this year, okay.
Because the choir is usually singing.
And I would just say, if you can reach out to the middle school, Diane Crocker used to help organize that, so she might be able to reach out to some people who are get an invitation out. Oh, you're just gonna call it? All right.
You took care of those, worked on stuff like that at the armory, so she might be a good contact as well.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
So
All
good.
right, thank you, appreciate it.
I'll stick around.
Senior night.
Yeah.
All right, public comment. Sherry, you got any green card? No
Nope.
green cards? Okay. That's quick. Staff recognition.
I'm just going to pull up a piece of my superintendent report, because I kind of put multiple pieces in all of that. And it's really just a reminder, thank you, that we have some things that have surfaced that, we really do a good job of classifying employee week and all kinds of things like that, but there's some that we really wanted to be able to highlight that I think there's an appreciation day or an appreciation week just about every day. And if you tried to keep up with them all, it would be crazy. But one of the things that we had discovered is September 19th was National IT Professional Day, Instructional Technology. And our technology staff is busy, to say the least. And it's the opportunity to be able to recognize them. They're the ones that deal with when the power blips and the network goes down. They're the ones that come in and make sure it's working again, among a myriad of other things. And the other piece of that I've appreciated over the last at least year or two has been the eye to our cybersecurity, but also the eye to reasonable resource and expense. So just because a particular company sells something, we don't need to buy it, that we can look at other ways to be able to do it and to do that safely, and they've been really good about that. The other was October 2nd was School Custodian Appreciation Day, and we all know that our custodians and our facilities and maintenance staff are hustling every day. And it's an opportunity to be able to say thank you to them and remember the things they do. And then, of course, for me, October is National Principals Month. And so it's really the chance to be able to say thank you to the people who lead our schools. And I need them to do only what they can do. And they do it well. So it's a chance there. And then a couple of other things that I put in there that are more about activities as opposed to staff recognition is that last week was National School Lunch Week. And we're getting closer and closer to making sure we have a full contingent of our lunch staff. And let me tell you, it's been hard to make sure that we've got people placed in all the different schools, but we're working at it. And then this week is National School Bus Safety Week, and it's fitting because it comes on the heels of having met with the bus company this week. Our community has known that we've had a couple of athletic buses and a couple that have broken down on their way to events, and then a couple of routes because of issues that have had to be combined. And so it was a great opportunity to hear about some things that have happened and are happening to be able to shore up the issues and concerns. And it was really great because we basically said, this is our precious cargo. We can't have people on the side of the road, and the response was really good. So we feel good about what we were able to accomplish in the course of the week. So with it being National School Bus Safety Week, we figured it was appropriate. So that's our staff recognition.
Thank you. Okay. Reports, association reports, PEA.
Sorry, that's me. I'm representing, we're taking notes too, so that's why I did not hear you.
Thanks, Alice.
There is no recorder, that's all.
Thank you. OSEA. All right, committee reports, EBAC.
See,
All right.
hi everyone, I'm Lynn Kawai, the English Language Development Teacher for all of your buildings, K through 12. We have what's called an Emergent Bilingual Advisory Council, so that's for bilingual families. Part of the OEP or the Department of Education's mandate is that we also provide that chance for communication for our families that are bilingual. So I'm going to give you a date. Pass it around. You're more than welcome. Alice has come to many of our meetings. The dates may change. The parents are, as you know, a lot of the sports stuff is on Thursdays and Tuesdays. So you'll notice that the next one is next week on Wednesday. This will be at the Philadelphia Middle School between 6:30 and 8 o'clock. You may get there and you may only hear Spanish or a little Ukrainian. That's okay. The kids would always appreciate your help. Fabrice, our educational assistant, and myself usually work with the children. And we do all kinds of things, from STEM projects to this week they are learning about how to access their middle school and high school students' grades, so that the facility is new. And we will have Chris Singer, who some of you may know as the STEM Hub from LACC. He'll be bringing some Lego robotic stuff to introduce the parents and the children to the robotics club. A lot of them are to be announced because this is something that we want the parents to be the directional force in deciding times and subjects. So you can look for announcements. I'll make sure that Cynthia and Michelle will trade that. So, any questions?
I have a question. Yeah, right. And I may have missed an email from you, and if that's the case, then I apologize. But do you have a list of committees that we said we wanted to do and how you assign us out to all of them?
I've not said
It was in
that.
an email.
Did you send an email? See, I did say I might have missed an email. It's
Okay.
been a couple.
I thought I sent it out, but I could have put it all together and forgot to send it
No,
out.
I
I
know,
know, me, most of
I
it,
got
when
it.
I was very sick, so
Okay.
I'll check. One of us will definitely.
Oh,
If you need me to resend it, I can resend it.
Oh,
you can always reach out by email, just I probably will not answer between 7:30 and 3:15, because I'm teaching about, give me a little time to respond.
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, see ya.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Brandt. I have 2 children in the school district, a freshman at the high school and a 6th grader at the middle school. And I've been active in SEAC for the last 3 years, and I'm here to give you a little update on our year at a glance. For those of you who don't know what SEAC is, it's Special Education Advisory Committee. It is composed of anyone in the community who's passionate about special education. All are welcome. Parents, board members, staff, administrators, and we work together to make special education in Columbus the best it can be. We came together in October. Our meetings, we have meetings pretty much every month except for September because we're just getting started. January because we're coming back from winter, and June because we're all checked out and ready for summer. So we meet the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. in this room. We would love to have some board members come and share your great ideas with us.
Third Tuesday at what time?
6:30 p.m.
I thought you said first, I misunderstood.
First Tuesday.
Oh, first Tuesday.
Yeah,
I
first
need hearing
Tuesday.
aids, that's in the process.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is.
So our next meeting is November 7th at 6:30 p.m. in this room. So we've got 3 goals for the year. At our next meeting, we will be discussing plans for helping our schools celebrate Special Education Day. That falls on December 2nd, and it commemorates the signing of the landmark legislation in the late 70s that created special education. And really, it's more than a celebration of just special education. It's a celebration of making education accessible for all children. So we're going to be brainstorming and deciding on some school-specific, age-specific ways that the students can commemorate the day. And we'd also like to do some staff appreciation and hopefully incorporate the talents of our special education students in showing thanks to their teachers and instructional aides. So that's our first goal. Second goal of the year, for the last few years, we've been working with librarians and the media specialists to improve representation of people with exceptionalities in our school libraries. And the last couple of years, we purchased a lot of chapter books and for our elementary and primary school students. And this year, we'd like to focus on the high school. And most importantly, finding some books to support our awesome transition program at a high school. And then our third goal is every spring we usually throw an event. Last year, with Cascade Regional Inclusive Services, we threw an autism resource event. And that invitation was open not just to our school district, but all of the surrounding school districts. We've had parents and students come from as far away as Lebanon and Sweet Home. This year, and I'm going to name drop Chris Singer, who already got name dropped because he's doing some amazing work in our schools. We'd like to do an evening with him and the Mid-Valley STEM CTE Hub to highlight how he's using STEM to really draw out the many gifts that our special education students have, and again, invite people from the greater community and the surrounding school districts to show the amazing things that are happening in our district. We're thinking maybe March for that. Yeah, and that is our year at a glance. Again, we'd love to have more people come to our meetings. We've got 3 parents that are very loyal and come every month, but we'd love to expand that and include some additional people. So, any questions? I have some pamphlets. I'll just bring them up if you'd like to take one or pass them on to someone that you think might be interested in helping us. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Sorry. Thank you.
So where's the monthly meetings held at?
In this
Right
room,
here?
yeah.
I did kind of read
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, I was just gonna send it to you.
Well, I texted it to
I
you,
got
but
it.
still, did I?
I got it the night before some things.
You're getting it from all
I
sides.
was trying to text
Took
it,
all my
it
attention.
hasn't done that.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Yeah, as I'm pulling up information to share, kind of a nice segue, I was over at the high school this morning. My office was being used for interviews, and so I got booted out. And, which is always fun because I get to go some different places. And I was in Saf Evans' classroom. And it was, this is the day, this is the date. It was first thing in the morning. And Shelley, you'll be happy with one of the things that she'd been talking about Halloween and what they wanted to have, what the students suggested that DACs dress up like for Halloween. And we're going to submit their ideas. But today's prompt that they were writing about had to do with trunk or treat, which is a chamber activity.
Yes, it is.
And it was nice that I could raise my hand in the middle of the whole thing as they talked about, when as the kids go through town, to be able to say, we're not going through town this year. We're going to be at the museum and do it that way. So it was really nice to be able to get the word out. And it was also the opportunity to say kudos for the forethought of the group that put it together to be able to put it in a safe venue with all the construction and things like that this year. So we're doing our best to help you get the word out.
Well, we appreciate it.
Awesome.
Hopefully you've got quite a few people signed up for trunks, so I'm pretty excited about it this year. Should be fun. They'll still be allowed to walk up and down Main Street. We'll have crossing guards as per the usual, like at every intersection, but the trunk or treat portion of it will just be the museum loop.
Very cool. Thank you. Erin, you were at our last board meeting foreboding some good things. When you said, do we need to have our flag for the Siletz tribe around? We did. But the Indigenous Peoples' Day celebration, which was October 9th, the city of Philomath reborrowed the flag. And Lahui Whitebear, who is a professor at OSU and the current Corvallis School Board chair, shared her story, which included poetry that she writes, to be able to discuss that. And so wanted to be able to take a moment to be able to read in belated acknowledgement of that day, our native land acknowledgement for the Philomath School District. So we ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing, to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Philomath, we must understand that we are in traditional homelands and unceded territories of Indigenous peoples. Where we live, these are the ancestral homelands for the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. The Philomath School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located in Lincoln County, but is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish. We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial. So thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to share that. Bless you. Wanted to take an opportunity in my report to follow up a little bit. We had some public comment that was brought to us last month. And one of those things that we jumped on right away was commentary that we're working but we're not getting paid. And we thought, no, we don't want to go there. And so we had the opportunity to follow up and to meet with the employees from Clemens that had raised issue and concern. People have been paid for their time worked, and we've made some adjustments in how we understand one another and the days, but no one has worked time that they've had to give to us. So wanted to make sure that that was a clear and public comment.
Susan, did you find they had worked hours they were not paid for?
There were some that had done some professional learning, and we knew about that, so it was an extended period of time. Some of the others, we discovered that the ending time of the day on the timesheets had said 3:15, but the buses are out of there about 3:05, maybe 3:10, and so we adjusted the ending time of the day to be able to make sure it was truly reflective. There were some individuals that believed that because their time ended at 3:15, that they would be busy during that time of that extra 10 minutes to be able to check in with teachers and things like that to do work for their full work day. And so what we were able to do was adjust the work day, say your time is done when the buses are done, so that it provides us with time on that Friday, so that it gives us an extra 20 minutes on Friday so we don't have a lot of overtime and people hanging around. And so we made the adjustments and made sure that we could make good on the payment for what people were doing. So I just wanted to put it out there that there's no way we're going to ask people to work and not pay them. So the other is the covered play area that we talked about. And the Philomath Frolic board came through. City Manager Chris Workman was watching the video of the meeting, and
So it was fast.
yeah,
Like
yep.
the next day.
Right, and they've been looking for ways to help, and so they put a covered space out there. Clemens also talked about investigating the cost of a tent from the Corvallis School District, which they did, and appreciate them getting the information. What we are going to do is to continue work with the planned completion of the permanent outdoor space, so that we can make sure, we've got resource set aside to do that, and we want to make sure we have the permanent rendition. So we're working right now on making sure the bid process can go back out, and being able to be supportive in that way. So Clemens came up with a lot of good resource, good idea, and it just keeps it in the forefront that we keep moving forward with a formal final decision. So
Can I ask one question about that? Has anybody thought about having the kids sign a great big thank you card to Frolic? Good.
We're promoting it. That was really incredible how quickly that happened.
Absolutely, and I think they'd love seeing something from the kids.
and Mrs. Cook, company would never think of anything like that. So
It's probably the cutest thing you've heard that I've ever heard.
Right, I know.
So
Backwards on.
yeah. Downing Forest. You all know how that came to play over the course of last summer, and the angst and things like that. The Paul Merriman Invitational Cross Country Meet did happen, was a success. Lots of people helped bring that course back, and it was nice because the Fulham Middle School and Fulham High School runners were very successful on that day at that meet. And it's interesting that then now, not only is it good enough to be able to make sure that we can host the Paul Merriman meet when we didn't think that could happen, the Oregon West Cross Country Championships will be there on October 28th. And so that's our lead that's coming together to be able to use that course one more time at a high school level, because of the actions of a community that came together and said, let's make this work. And I had a chance to talk to the Oregon School Athletics and Activities, the Activities Association representative for cross country this weekend. and was able to kind of give her an update on what was happening. And there's also a middle school cross-country meet out on that course, I believe, sometime next week. I'll have to take a look at what the date is. So the middle schoolers are using it as well, and it makes it really nice. So I'll make sure I look that up. Synergy, our new student information system, as I say, it's expected, it's coming with its bumps, and it's coming with its bumps for everybody. We're doing our best to be able to make sure that we can get over the hurdles and take care of business. But we've got people that are pretty dedicated to spending a lot of time to be able to make that work and come together. And it's just been a big process. And within that, it's we're not going to do new next year because it's just been a lot to be able to ask. Food service, like I said, we think we're getting closer, and being able to make sure that we have a full contingent of staff, as well as looking for subs, and being able to make sure we have bases covered for service there. Rick and I went to the fall regional meeting of the Oregon School Boards Association on October 11th and had a great conversation. We had all 12 of the districts represented, which was really nice. They told us, they said, this is the first regional we've gone to, and I think they've been to 8 or 9 at that point, that they said every district was represented in the course of the meeting by either a board member and or staff. So it was very good to be able to make that happen, and I know that a couple of people are set up to be a part of the OSBA Fall Conference in early November. And so that will be a good thing as well. December dates I'm saving. I put those in there because we're going to get to a point where we're going to talk about what to do with our December meeting. And I wanted to make sure I had all the concert information. And this is updated from what was in the packet with just a couple of times and dates. But wanted to make sure we had that available as we make the decision. So that's the world. Questions, comments?
Thank you. Okay,
Who else is going to the fall conference?
the annual conference?
Rick and me.
And you got
Yes.
3 of us.
I'm also doing a pre-conference.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing the conference. We're going Friday, Saturday. Okay. Financial report. Jennifer?
Thank you. You have your reports in your board packet. I don't have a whole lot more to add than what is in my written report. We have enrollment still holding steady from what we were in September. I updated our estimate of membership and revenue with ODE, and we're just waiting to see if enough districts want to change this fall before they do a recalculation. Otherwise, we'll wait until January. Word around the streets from other districts that we're maybe an anomaly with increased enrollment. Most are either holding steady, at least in our region, or reduced enrollment. So the thought is that overall statewide enrollment might be lower than what they estimated state school fund on to begin with. So when they do a recalculation, there could be a little bit bigger piece of pie for each student. So we'll see. Just kind of a wait and see approach for that one. And then we had our auditors here beginning of the month. Went really smoothly. They were here for 4 hours. It was
That's good.
yes, not bad. Best auditing day ever. We sent them a lot of pre-work, so they did a lot of film work before they came, but that was great. And then we have our budget committee members in the board packet to be appointed this month. And then we'll start the budget process again in December with our first fall informational meeting. And I'm hoping to maybe restructure that a little bit like we talked about with some more education about how budget process works and state school fund versus just kind of the same old that we've worked on in the past. So I'm going to work on that. Hopefully that comes to be. Any questions?
Always give it a good accounting of everything in the board packet, so.
Jennifer,
Don't really have any questions, it's all right
It's
there.
all right there.
she's a rock star. One of the things that we're starting to do is starting to look into enrollment in more specificity, to be able to take a look at numbers of students who are full with resident students, number of students who have come to us from somewhere else, number of students who have come to us from somewhere else that have been with us since kindergarten versus those that are new coming in, and how that changes between last year and this year. Before the meeting started this evening, I took care of Blodgett because it's easy. You can scroll through 38 students pretty easy. But when you start getting to Philomath Elementary and the numbers are what, 383, something like that, I didn't want to scroll through that many. So I'm trying to find a better way to do it. But that's one of the things that we're working to get to is how did we arrive at the enrollment, and is it Philomath kids, is it other district kids, is it a combination of both, all those kinds of things.
All right, next one is strategy and discussion, RTII. I think it's probably
Me in there?
Abby and Eric, okay.
I'm Batman, he's Robin. I'm gonna walk close to here because I'm not wearing my glasses and I don't need to read this line.
I just have to find it here, that's all.
Okay. So you had mentioned in the past when we had done reports on data and things that was helpful, so we want to bring that back. So I thought we would do a fall report and then show you again this spring the progress that we made. So we have a fall report to show you where we're at, talk about what we're doing and what our goals are, and then we'll bring it back in the spring and see if we have met those goals. So for our new board members, one of the things that we've implemented over the last 5 or 6 years is called RTII. It stands for Response to Instruction and Intervention. We're really focused on reading, and we've worked with the Oregon RTII. There was a grant, and we've had coaches for the last 5 years, and they've walked us through the process, and we've built a strong system in our district that I'm really excited about. So part of that is we have hired RTI person, one at Clemens, 2 here at the elementary school, and then 2 at the middle school. So now we have RTI programs all the way K-8. And reading is getting stronger and stronger. If you go to the next slide, please.
What's the MTSS?
I'll tell you in just a second.
Okay.
I'll get there. I'll get to the MTSS. Eric's been talking.
Obviously, the vision for Philomath is to make sure the kids are ready when they leave this system for college, career, post-secondary success, and we're a system. So really looking at like what ways is our system working effectively to leverage our resources, and it's the same in like any system, medical or whatever. Just to back up a little bit just from education, recently, because I'm new to the district, I was thinking about safety systems, right? So I called the Gursky, and we were talking about, so if there's something that happens on my school's safety, are we on the same page from what I know from my previous district? And what was cool is that they were aligned, that the protocols, like today was actually the Great Shakeout. And so 18.1 million kids today participated in an earthquake drill. And so I get on the line and say, we're going to drop, and we're going to cover, and we're going to hold, and do that. And it's so cool that the kids get the same training at Clemens, at my school, and even if they move between the regions. And so thinking about whether it's medical or safety systems or whatever, they're systems. And so within our school system, we also have to think about what our special ed system, our academic systems, all of those systems. And so this structure that, if we go to the next slide, Abby can talk about kind of the umbrella of making sure that everyone can grow. So it's not just about who's not doing well, making sure that we're looking and adjusting for everyone to grow. So I'll let you talk a little more about that.
So the RTII model is now a component of what we call MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support. So the model that we've implemented for RTI has been focused on academics. We started on reading, and now we're beginning to implement math. I think we're in our 2nd year of math. So in that, what we've learned is that we have most of our students in Tier 1, and those are kids that are at or above grade level. We've got some of our students at Tier 2, which are slightly below grade level, and we've got a few students at Tier 3, which are significantly below grade level. And what we now know is that if we're going to be teaching all students, we're not just focused on academics.
need to be focused on their social emotional learning and behavior as well. And so now we have this multi-tiered system of support where we're using the same strategies that we'll be running the RTI model for the whole child with social emotional learning and behavior in addition to academics.
You have the next slide.
Okay, so right now, this is our K through 5 reading data of all students. You can see that 59% of our students are at or above grade level at the beginning of the school year. 29% are slightly below grade level, and 12% are significantly below grade level. A couple highlights that we wanted to pull out from this is that of our incoming kindergarten students, at the beginning of year assessments for kindergarten readiness, the data show that only 53%, or over 53% of our students were not ready for kindergarten. So that's a big jump, but I will promise you that our team does this every year, and they will be ready by the end. So it's a big thing, but I'm going to point this out in the spring. And then if you look at our third grade data specifically, we wanted to pull out because that is one of our district goals, is having all students reading by third grade. We have 63% of our students right now at grade level, 26% below grade level, and 11% significantly below. So here's what we do to fix that.
Yeah, and one thing just to note, to go back to slide real quick too, is just the one thing is when we say, you know, at the additional tier 2 support, it's not necessarily, according to iReady, to be yellow at the beginning of the year. So that's something that, you know, that when we think about, as I understand it, is really looking towards the end of the year. So that's just to kind of know when we say they need some additional support, but it's really our intensive support that's where we're in most need of like intensive intervention. So just to clarify that. But the next one of the things that when we think about, we know that kids have to take spring state tests, and no one loves them, but one of the things that's hard about that is we can't really use that information to drive instruction. It's kind of like an autopsy. You know, the kids take in the spring, and then sometime over summer or fall, we actually get that data. So what you're seeing here is actually iReady data from, I believe, our third graders at PS. And so we can do a screening with this, and it is nationally normed, so it is aligned to what's called Smarter Balance, our state test. But this actually tells us, like, okay, when we look at the cohort, do we need to do some extra emphasis in phonologic awareness, phonics, that science of reading pieces, so we actually have that data. And so on Fridays, every 4 weeks to 6 weeks, our specialists and teachers come together, and they can look at this data and they say, okay, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're gonna focus on vocabulary, or we're gonna target an area, and so we actually have this information. We have it at the school level, we have it at the grade level, we have it at the class level, even down to the individual level of what we need to do with instruction. So that's pretty cool and something that makes me really excited. The iReady system is new to me, and already I can see it's far superior to, I think, what we had before, which was what was called STAR. So that's something that we're using.
So when we see that we have kids that are not quite up to grade level, the kids in the yellow are our tier 2 students. What we do for these students, after we come together as grade level teams, we decide which students are going to receive daily interventions. So our RTI specialists provide those interventions for our students, and they'll focus on one of those strands that you just saw on the past slide with the data. We'll focus on phonologic awareness, phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, those things. We can look at that data and we know exactly what intervention tool to use to help kids get the tool what they need at that strand, and then we fix it, and then they can go on in that circle. So we're not just providing busy work, we're actually giving them what they need at their level. We progress monitor them, we see how they're doing. We do that every 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the child. And so we can track that and make sure that they're making progress. And if they're not, then we intervene and we figure out why, and we deal with them. We also meet as a staff 3 times a year. So we would have our core review meetings after each benchmarking period at the beginning, middle, and end of the school year. But then in between there, we want to make sure that our interventions are working. And that's where we'll decide if it's working or not and what we need to do to help the child do better. There are a few students who are really struggling. We call those our intensive interventions or tier 3. So with those students, they need individual support. At tier 2, they're usually in a small group, but at tier 3, well, they need one-on-one intervention. So they're getting a tier 2 intervention, but they also should receive one-on-one support. And so we do that with a specialist. We progress monitor them also, and then we progress monitor them for 2 cycles. So usually 6 to 8 weeks, we do that 2 times. If they're still not showing progress, that's when we might be looking into evaluation for special education or something to see if there's something more going on.
And just to clarify, for our school, if we assess a student and we do an intervention, it may be that we need to change that intervention material. It may be that, like my colleague said, it may be a smaller group or sometimes individualized. Sometimes it might just need more time. And so just to throw this up there, and I don't expect you to read the whole schedule, but when we build our master schedules in those blocks, it's very different than just everybody used to be, just everybody kind of did their own thing. That the teachers have to collaborate and align their schedules reasonably so that we can actually push in those supports. Because as Abby was saying, every kid gets core instruction. That's something, but when we get to that spot of additional intensive, one of the things I love in our model is that everybody actually gets something. Our teachers are involved in that with our specialists. So it's kind of nice in that, like, I could be a student that needs to get this, but somebody else is getting this, and so we can tier that instruction. And it kind of, when we think about even students that have special needs, it makes it least restrictive for them. Like, well, I go to a group, they go to a group, everybody is rotating around to do something. So I think that's a really healthy thing in our system. And for example, like just if I were to point here, so this is I just pulled up 4th grade. So 4th grade, here's this core math block of 60 minutes, and then we push in RTI support. So when that support, like those, whether assistants or not, go in that last 30 minutes, they're able to then give some additional supports to students in that class. And so we just kind of throughout our schedule work it that way. So that's just, I thought that might be a snapshot. Of course, if anybody had any further questions or wants to walk through and look at that model, we'd be happy to do that.
So I do have one question. When they're getting this additional support, then they're not missing a different class subject
Correct.
in the classroom?
Yes, exactly.
Especially those at that tier 3 who are getting
We strive in every
journey.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That would be what's called replacement core. So when a student, if they had such significant complex needs, or we have a replacement core, and we do everything we can to avoid that, it's very rare. So that's where everyone gets core and we tier it. And even in that core instruction, sometimes small groups, but yeah, we're able to adjust that instruction.
Thank you.
Does you?
Um,
Oh no. Yeah.
This is our math data. So as I said, we're just getting into math and being able to look at it. And this year we're using the iReady assessment tool, which is new to us. And it's really been eye-opening to see what we can see with the reading, all the different strands of reading. Now we can see different strands of math, and it will provide us the feedback of what strands in mathematics the kids are, what little holes they're missing, and we can fill that in. So right now, K-5, we've got 49% at grade level, 40 in the middle, and 11 at significantly below. So this is new for us, where you can see it's broken down into the different strands. Or is it still being checked?
No, it just the strands we have on the left, numbers and operations, algebraic measurement data, and then geometry. And so when we look at it, we go, so if we see for example, our additional support, yellow is so much bigger, then we might have to come back and say, what's going on with our core? And I know I've had some teachers say, it's been quite a few years since we revisited even our math adoption. And so just those are things that, as administrators and with our team, looking at do we have the right materials to make sure that, our kids are where they can be.
Do we have an elementary math specialist, or is it just within the RT?
Our specialists actually cover the both academic areas of math and reading. So like at my school, I have Molly who focuses on 2nd and 3rd, and then Natalie 4th and 5th, and they do focus on both. And I think it would be really hard if I just had one person, but because I had 2, I think they can do the lift of both. So, and actually, our grade levels, some of them during those intervention, what I need time when times are focusing on math over reading because our data suggests that's where the focus needs to be.
So same thing when we do interventions for math, the same process. I don't need to go into detail, but we have the same process tier 2 and tier 3 and give those interventions where the kids need them. And then our goal for the spring, this is what good data should be, was that you have 80% of your kids at or above grade level, 15 a little bit below, and 5% significantly below grade level. And ideally, we would know the kids so well and know exactly what they need that we would have the 5% identified, probably through special education, needing extra supports, and we know what they need to get to where they need to be. So when we come back in the spring, this is what we're looking to see.
So I got a question. On the last one, it showed like 40% in the yellow. What do you think is pretty much the cause of that so many are below grade level? I mean, is that just taking the summer off and?
Common Core, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are high, and also, as I understand it, 40%, those are kids who need to be on watch. You know, it's yellow, but, we need to keep focusing on what is getting in the way, of helping them achieve at high levels, and, so that was one curious I had, is yellow needing intervention? As I understand iReady, those are not yet to intervention, but we need to be repeating, they're not yet.
We need to watch. My personal philosophy is that there's a lot of reasons this is new to us. This is where we were in reading before, and then we had to do the work to learn to intervene and help the kids. So like Eric said, we're looking at our core and how we're teaching it and what we need to do to enhance that for our students. And then I personally feel that we are really focused on reading a lot, and now we're strong in that area, and now we need to focus on math. So we'll see big gains in this area.
Okay, because it just, when I look at that, it kind of scary to see that 40% are below grade level, but I was just wondering that since it's at the beginning of the year, if it's a lot of it's maybe the transition from one grade level to the next, and having summer off and, not really focused in the fall, or if there's something else that's...
Yeah, the data is showing where we want the kids to be at the end of the school year. So right now, I mean, the majority of our kids should be in the yellow because we're at the beginning of the school year. We've got some kids above already. We've got a good chunk, I don't know the last slide for now, but there was a good chunk in the grade, so they're already doing at or above grade level.
Yeah.
So that just means this year we're going to focus on that. Those are our goals, focusing mostly on math this year, so that we'll show gains in that. And we have the intervention tools now with our specialists so that the kids can receive what they need, and I think we'll see good gains.
My question goes along with Rick's. We have at grade level, if does this program will show you above grade level, because that would then shrink that 40%, because right now we have, whatever it was in the green.
Let me go back to that.
49.
Yeah, there's like a special color in there. If you go back, see the it's got like kind of add a layer of, they're at or above currently, and then that stripe line is where it's significantly above, and then the slash line on the red is where you may have like like more than a grade level line. Yeah.
So what that showed, it did show as well on the next slide, was that there are more above grade level than there are following behind grade level. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Well, is there a way you can kind of bring this back to us mid-year?
Sure.
And show us how the progression, if you're on track to meet your goal for the spring of '24, or you're not there, or if you're not quite there, what are you doing to meet that goal? Is what I would be interested in.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah, the iReady will be done fall, winter, and spring, and it's also, I think, one thing that too is for the kids the first time taking this, it is on a computer. It is something that's new to them, and so I think also, it's always a wonder I have at the beginning of the year is how comfortable they are with this tool. They might have known the tool from before. I'm not, making excuses, but it's just something that like this is new to them, and so it'll be also interesting to see how that works. It was their first time doing it, and so, but I think it's a good tool. I would say that my personal opinion is I don't think we have as much robust interventions for math materials. So that's something that when I think about reading, we have phonics for reading, and we have read live, and so we have a really good, so I think that menu of supports that we can use, we have some tools, but I think that's an area we can focus on. We'll be watching that, and we can absolutely bring back the data updates from you guys in the
Okay,
military.
'cause I like to see it mid-year, after they've had a chance to be in a classroom, settle in, and if they're really, getting everything that's being taught to them, and if not, how we can change it so that they'll get more of it.
We do our assessments in January, so we'll bring it back in February.
And if any board members ever want to come through during the day when we're doing our interventions and our cycles and want to see the instruction live happening, we'd be happy to give you a walkthrough. Come join us.
Do you do that every day then?
Monday through Thursday, we're more intense on our interventions, and Friday looks a little bit different.
Yeah, well, Friday's early release.
Yeah.
Friday will be
Different
hottest
things.
monitoring.
Yeah, so Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday, pretty much.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right, those chairs are nice.
Well, it feels to me like as much as there is in place for interventions, that this is an achievable goal. I mean, this, right? I mean,
It's always our goal to get to this place.
sure.
We haven't had a perfect year, and no school ever has. But we do see and look at the data to create goals, and we make strides, so.
When our teachers get together on those Fridays, when they're actually setting SMART goals throughout the year cycles, and they're looking at how, what do we think we can do in the next 4 or 6 weeks focusing on this area. So that actually is really cool to see those cycles and that process happening. So, and in addition to all that systematic, we also still want to make sure kids are excited to come to school and have fun and have room in the day for the science and social studies, because those are really what areas where you can integrate in math and literacy, those things that get kids really excited. So we really want to make sure that we're holding space for that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Very informative. Social-emotional learning.
And we are going to bring that back to you in November. And we made kind of an 11th hour determination, and part of that was we were going to present RTII information, and then thought we'll go to the full umbrella that encompasses everything and start to kind of label, if you will, multi-tiered systems of support. And then be able to get to the academic, which we've heard from periodically, and then take the next couple of spires of the umbrella when we look at November.
Budget committee applications. Yeah, we have to vote to approve these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have three positions.
3 openings, and we have
three applicants.
2 that requested renewal and 1 new applicant.
Yeah. So, do I hear a motion to approve the 3 applications?
I said budget. You would?
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or any
2 existing board members, and the new one seemed fairly capable based on the application rules.
Yeah, well, it seemed very, very good applications, and the 2 that are wanting to come back on are clearly good because they've been there before. So, no other questions, comments? All those in favor? Okay, passes 5-0. So we have 3 new budget committee members.
Well, one-
Or two
One
renewal-
new.
2 renewals and 1 new.
We have a full budget meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Which is how many? 10.
Thank you, Jennifer, for all your hard work on that part of things. Division 22 assurances.
I put the overall packet in there that is really it lists what all the requirements are and gives information about are we in compliance or are we not. Last year, we had 2 areas where we were not in compliance. One of them was language arts instructional materials. We didn't have them in place in the facility at Fulham High School. They are now there, and so we're in compliance there. The other area that we were not in compliance was the physical education instructional minutes. And so we've come back and said for 22-23, we were not in compliance with the minutes. And so if you look at the attachment part of that, what we submit, because I said see attached on that piece of it, said that, let's get to a place where I can scroll here, that the law said that kindergarten through 5th grade in 22-23 needed 150 minutes. At the start of 22-23, it was 225 minutes per week at the middle school level, and was adjusted by the last legislative session down to 150 minutes a week. So I put in what the minutes had been in terms of where we were ending in the last year. And a lot of that has to do with our commitment to music and art education and wanting to be able to maintain that. So what you will see in there is the core physical education standards, that talk about motor skills and movement patterns, movement and performance, health and fitness, physical activity and fitness. And then the last 2 exhibit reasonable personal and social behavior that respects self and others, teamwork, and then the last one recognizes the value of physical activity for health enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and or social interaction. So social interaction has a big piece of that as well. And so our proposal and where we're working into this year puts us at, and this is just kindergarten through 8th grade, that's why you don't see the high school. That puts us at 150 minutes at Blodgett at Clemens Primary School. It puts Fulham Elementary at 160, the middle school 6th grade at 155, 7th and 8th grade were already in compliance at 210. So we didn't have to worry about that part of it. And so then the other pages talk about how we will arrive there and what we're including in the minutes. And so when you look at a program definition, we put in what is the activity, what are the core standards that we're looking at, and what would be a definition. In kindergarten through 5th grade as a school, the general education classroom teacher or the PE specialist can deliver that instruction. At a middle school, it's at 6-8. That has got to be overseen by a licensed physical education specialist. So there's a couple of things we're looking at to be able to do this, apart from the programs and the definition. There is a grant through the Oregon, 2 grants through the Oregon Department of Education. One of them has to do with staffing. And it is a 2-year grant for which you can apply for increased staff. And so we're going to do that. But what we're applying for is that extra hour or the extra piece of that to be able to do some preparation for, you'll notice at the bottom of it, I said Monday team time, that was a part of a determination at the Fulham Elementary School. And the idea with that was a start of the week every Monday, a video broadcast that begins the day that PE teacher will prepare and give out to teachers at the first of the day, and to set a tone. So it might be a little physical activity, it might be some stretching, it might be some breathing exercises, it might be dancing, I mean, there's all kinds of things that could fit that. And so we want to make sure that we are appropriately addressing if there's a need for any extra time for those people to do preparation, that we're taking care of it. And so this particular grant through the Department of Ed will pay salary, it will not pay benefits. So we're looking at asking probably for, I would say maybe $12,000 to $15,000. So we're not asking for a whole person. we're gonna ask for just those pieces that we need, and then watch things grow, and figure out how we need to adjust and adapt. But feel very confident about where we've moved in terms of what we're asking and how we're meeting the intent of the law, and being thoughtful in that way too. And so that's why this part of it was put in, just as an explanation of how we plan to correct that situation. Beyond that, all our other Division 22 standards are in line, and we are in compliance.
So are you thinking it would be a traditional PE teacher or somebody who does creative movement or
At the middle school,
theater teacher even?
at the middle school level, it has to be directed and implemented by a licensed physical education specialist. At an elementary level, because in some schools, we're lucky, some schools don't have elementary physical education specialists. It's, your PE classes are the responsibility of your general education classroom teachers. And so even though we have a PE specialist, there's a combination that we can put together to be able to include regular education teachers. So for instance, one of the things that we put in here at the majority of the schools is something that we're doing for social emotional learning that's called everyday speech, that hits that fourth standard of exhibiting responsible personal and social behavior that respects self and others, and the notion of appropriate social interaction. And so it's something that our classroom teachers are already doing with students. And because it hits on a core standard, we're not having to create something new. We're being able to say, we are already doing this, and it's working, so let's make sure that we can have that taken care of. So beyond that, we're in good shape with where we are in the stage.
Question on the academy part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Since it seems like a lot of those kids are online, how do you monitor what they're doing for this? You know, it says that Pearson is electronic educational platform being utilized for the majority of students. So, I mean, do they go on that and then you have a way of tracking their time that they're on it, or?
There are some things that they would be expected to do as assignments, if you will. They are tracking minutes of activity that fall into the purview of that. We have an exercise bike over there. I mean, so we're starting to really grow up on the the breadth of the physical education offering is for kids at the formal academy.
Okay, but that's for the kids that are on site. But what I'm concerned about is the kids that are, you know, online, you know, pretty much, I don't know what percentage they are, you know, that aren't here. How do we monitor what they're doing on this, or is there a way that we can monitor that?
Part of it is what the class itself will do, because the teachers interact with the students in all the classes. So it's not that I do something just online, the teacher's giving me my assignments and giving me feedback. And so they can craft the activity as they need to, but some of that is put on, the onus, honestly, in some of this, for their physical education class is put on the students and the family to track the information.
Okay, that's.
I kind of think of it as like the at-home reading calendar.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, maybe your parents signed it and turned it in. Did you actually do the reading? I think it's probably a similar like honors and ethics system for that.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Well, I mean,
admittedly
that's-
so, and we're trying to get closer. We're trying to get closer in what we do with that.
Okay.
So, all right, question.
Anybody else have? Okay.
And we have to submit this to the Department of Ed by early November. And so that's why we're asking for approval tonight, so that we can button it up and make sure that we
Do we
can.
have to vote on this too?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
please.
Do I hear a motion?
I would move that we accept the Division 22. Sorry, I forgot what it was called.
That's okay, Joe. All right,
Division 22.
I got a motion and a second by Ryan. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, communicable disease management plans approved.
Yep, and you'll see that we've got an individual for each school, and we've got kind of the district overarching that grabs a hold of the things that our nurses say, so you've got copies of all of that. In essence, what we're looking at is any communicable disease protocol, and we're following the recommendation and the insight input, if you will, of the Benton County Health Department, and being able to follow. So, I mean, we do that anyway. If we get a big influenza outbreak, like has happened in the past, and we've got a certain level of students who are out of school, then at what point do you close the school and allow people to heal and come back again? So their guidance is really directing what we are doing.
There was one page, Susan, I don't know, the page of the checklist had all these different illnesses in the checklist.
Yep.
And there was no check for body aches on the flu.
Okay.
The last time we had the flu,
Yeah.
body aches. So I just don't know if that's relevant, I just saw that there's a list of I don't know the page number.
That's all right. We'll go ahead and
Page
we'll go.
67.
Thank you. We'll go back and take a look at it, because it's easy to hit and miss those, so thank you.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve all of the communicable disease management plans that are in our packet. Okay,
Just as you said.
all right.
I'll second.
And it's been moved and seconded. So is there any more discussion?
I will give the exact info, because there are like 2 teeny tiny typos in it.
Okay.
Like duplicated periods, it's not like changing the
That's all right.
context. So I'll give this
Just share it.
to
Thank you.
Susan
I appreciate that.
Okay, but it doesn't affect the...
No, it's literally like double
Yeah,
here, like.
okay.
And they were the same
No words
for
will be
every
changed.
school that I read through.
Yes.
And which was fine, but couldn't it just list all the schools so we can have all those extra pages to read?
It's probably required.
Yeah, well, that's, we have to do it that way for the state to be able to make sure that we've got those things together, so. And they're posted on our webpage, so that anybody that wants to go to their particular school can find what they need, inclusive of the contact names and things like that, so.
Okay. Is there any penalties for not having this done on time? Or is this on time now, it's just...
We're good.
We're good?
We're good now, yes.
Okay,
It was, they wanted the board approval.
Well, we had it a couple months ago.
Right, they wanted the board, they wanted the board approval by September,
Yeah,
and we shot for it in August and weren't ready, and in September we weren't ready.
yeah.
And so, we posted, when we got them done before tonight, we went out and posted the new ones, but sent back to the Department of Ed that said our board approval date has now been changed to here. And so they've acknowledged that yes, we know your board approval is happening later, and that the plans that you have are up on the webpage. We'll get in touch with you after your board meeting and make sure everything's still the same.
Okay,
So
I just
appreciate
wanted to
that.
make sure that we were okay on being late, since this has been on the agenda for 2 months.
Yep.
So,
It
okay.
was kind of disheartening when I got that, third email that says you need to do this. It was like, oh, I don't do this. But we're in a good space and where we need to be. So
Okay,
thank you.
all right, I just want to make sure.
Nope, I'm glad.
All right, that being said, the December meeting date, and you had some other stuff previous, huh?
Yeah,
We didn't vote.
to pass it.
Oh.
We first and second and no vote.
We're just trying to move along here. All right, all those in favor? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Peggy.
Just a reminder
The December meeting date, and Susan has a bunch of things here.
21st would be the normal meeting.
Yeah, 21st is kind of late because the schools are already out for Christmas vacation.
So am I, so am I.
But we can keep in mind that it doesn't have to be on a Thursday. It can be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, which I don't think anybody wants on Friday, but, or Thursday.
What day is this, are the schools out?
The week before the 21st, that week they're
The 18th,
gone.
it starts the 15th.
Is
Oh, that's
the 15th, or is school's in?
That's a really funny thing. So it looks like the only days without is in the middle of the month on a Wednesday or early in the month on a Monday. If you take away Fridays.
We got 13th is a Wednesday that,
Well,
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of the week previous, or
you have the 4th and the Monday, the 4th and the
but do we want it that close, behind the November meeting, to move it up to the 4th? Because then you look at the 4th of December, and then you go clear to the 3rd Thursday of January, you know, and granted, there's 2 weeks for the Christmas break in there, thereabouts.
I mean, we've got to put it somewhere, and if you don't want it too early, I would think Wednesday the 13th would be the least. I mean, Blodgett has their winter program, so there's going to be a few people that would be, but I think
Well, we want to put it
that's in.
somewhere where it disrupts the least amount. So, you know, like Joe just said, you know, Wednesday the
I think
13th.
that would probably affect the least number of people. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, I don't want to discount Blodgett, they're a great
No.
school, but that seems to me that would affect the least number of people. Unless we want
Well-
to go back to the first week of December, which I don't want to.
okay, now if we did, well, the 6th is still putting it up in that week. I'd like to put it the week of the 11th,
Right.
somewhere in there, so that we keep kind of spacing between the meetings.
Like the second or third grade winter concert, that's evening time.
Yeah,
Yeah, when we time that is.
In the window of 6:30 to 8, I think. So
What time is that?
I think the after dinner to before 8 o'clock in there, so I think
and
maybe
start at 6:30 or 7.
6:30 or 7.
Okay.
Those winter concerts are always conflicting.
Is that the grade that your kids are in?
Yeah.
The Blodgett winter program could be probably 6 p.m. if it needed to be, and then this
Yeah.
I said the 13th is what I would propose, but otherwise we could go to the next week and after school's out, but it's not ideal either, so.
Does it have to be at 7 o'clock? I mean,
Does it have to be what?
at 7 o'clock.
No.
We could bump it out a little bit so if folks wanted to run a lodge it, right?
Maybe like start at 7:30 or 8,
Yeah.
we could. I don't mind running late, but I don't know about the rest of you.
I don't mind running late, I won't go to work the next day. That's when I'm retired.
That's right.
That's your next retirement?
Yeah, right, that's what I said,
I'll try it.
Typically, the December meetings are a little shorter.
They're
Yeah.
relatively
It's not
short
much
unless
later, right?
you know of anything coming up.
No, I don't.
It's typically, in my experience at least, 40 years in the district, almost, the December meetings tend to be shorter.
Well, 20 years on the board has been pretty short in December because there's not.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind starting at 8, I would have no problem with that.
Do we have to have a December meeting?
Well,
Well,
okay, if we're gonna start at 8, PES, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th winter concerts, what time do they start?
6:30.
Typically 6:30.
6:30?
They're gonna be still by 8.
Yeah, still fit to
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Well, but what I'm getting at is if people
Oh,
are at Blodgett and they want to come to the board meeting, they're gonna have to travel. But if they're at PES, they're right here and just take, a few minutes to walk over here. So rather than on Wednesday the 13th with budget, I think that we should do either the 12th or the 11th when you're having right here at PES. Then they can just walk over here.
Sure.
So Brian, do you also have a fourth or fifth grader, fourth or fifth grader?
Have
That's what I thought, I just wanted to.
Yeah. So I mean, and we've made exceptions in the past for board members if they're at a concert or something, or need to leave early to go, then, you know, they.
Typically, how long are those elementary school concerts?
45 minutes.
Yeah, they're about 40 minutes.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it'll be
but
when
if
you're
we
ready to
started at
finish.
8,
If we start at 8, that's a good deal.
The only thing would be finding parking.
Well, that's, we put cones out there, board members.
Yeah, there you go, reserved for board members.
Well, no, I'm more serious than anything.
Oh, I know.
Otherwise, we'll be
Just
6
park
blocks
over at
away.
True Value.
Yeah. So is there a preference, either Monday the 11th or Tuesday the 12th that works better for
I'll be next door to you today, so that's.
Yeah.
Prefer not Monday, but I can work either.
The 12th is better for me.
I prefer Tuesday than a Monday. So the 12th
well,
will be my preference.
I have a problem on the 12th. Santa Claus is going to be in Lions.
Oh.
From 6 to 7, so I don't think he can make it back here by 8.
I think the 11th work. It's
Yes,
just
that's
the
what
12th is easier.
So,
Is there some reason you don't want to do the Wednesday? No, because of Blige travel.
yeah, just the travel time for Blodgett. If somebody wanted to go out to that program,
If we started at 8, and if they start at 6, I'm guessing your program's not going to last more than an hour.
No.
No, no.
If
40 minute stops, yeah. You guys start at 8, 6:30 to 7:10.
I think that should be fine if you do Wednesday at 8.
well, if we do that, but then it's whatever people want to do. I have no preference other than I can't be on the 12th. So,
11 or 13, it sounds like.
yeah. So do I hear a motion?
I'll move the 13th, and we can vote on it.
Okay,
I've said, move that we have a meeting on the 13th at 8 o'clock
okay.
to give Blige people, if they wish to be here, a chance to travel in after the winter program.
Okay. For a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, motion passes. We
No.
moved the meeting to December 13th at 8 o'clock. And if we need
Executive session. we could do
exec
after.
session, it could be after or a short one before, depending on
Well,
what's
actually,
on.
yeah, 'cause the community isn't at the.
Well, no, they're not at that, but we still have to.
Sure, sure, sure.
And Ryan, listen, well, no, I said a Blodgett, so you're not.
Yeah, I
affected
can't
by that,
do
so,
it before, so yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Just now.
December 13th, 8 p.m.
And then while your calendar's out, looks like we've got another calendar.
Yeah, and I'm working with the person at OSBA, and between her family's winter concerts and what we had here, we're still going back and forth. And so what I will do is email you the day, because I proposed some things to her, and it's going, no, I've got, so
So we're pushed
So,
out to December.
we're gonna probably be in December unless I can plug her back, but I will email out to the board members when that is, or when the couple of possibilities are. I just couldn't get it nailed in today.
Okay.
Good.
All right, okay, training, all right, meeting closure, next meeting agenda items. I'm gonna throw this out there first because our next meeting is next Tuesday at 6 o'clock at Kings Valley.
Okay.
So as
Then
long
I
as
have a
nobody,
request for the next.
okay, well, let me finish. Did everybody get the email asking if they had questions? And so nobody really has any questions? Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure so I could get it to Sally in time that she could prepare a response
I
if she
have one
needs.
question, Rick. Are you gonna be able to make the commute while we're in Teams out?
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Can you
You
walk?
need a ride.
Oh, I can walk, but that's a long ways
He's
to
gonna
walk.
ride a sleigh. He's gonna ride a sleigh.
It's a little early for the sleigh, though. All right, so next Tuesday at 6 o'clock at KBCS.
Plan for
Everybody,
travel time.
yeah, does everybody know where that is? Okay. Well, I know some people haven't actually
I
been
haven't
there.
been inside of the building, but I have seen the building. I
Okay.
know.
It's been a lot of years since I've been inside the building.
We should all go to the store and get a burger basket for dinner.
Hey, they have good food at the store. I can walk to the store.
If you're motivated,
Yeah.
get some food.
So, all right. So then you had something
I have
on the
something
next
for
one,
the, yes, for our
November meeting.
standard board meeting.
December. Oh,
No, our November meeting, which is that we'll have a bunch of policies.
Oh, okay.
To review and approve based on our policy meeting that we had last week.
Okay.
Like, a bunch. We got them.
Yeah, so read the policies ahead of time when you're packing.
Look,
Or you can
many
just
of
trust
them are
everybody
easy
else
reads.
rather
There
than
are
easy
some that are a
read.
little dense, I will
Yeah.
say. There are some that are,
Was there a lot of changes to them or just kind of?
a lot of them were language-based changes like we see frequently, a couple of them based on legislation, a couple that were like almost entirely recommended based on like family needs.
The
That
paging
change, that's a big one.
Oh, okay.
and shifting over to that, we had to adjust.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, one major one that, and we'll talk about this when we review it, probably also is around the required training for board members in regard to public meeting law. So OSBA is going to be releasing training for us, but we are all required to do that training at some point during our
January,
time.
I think, right?
Yes.
Does that mean that I can't be on the board if I don't do the training?
Basically,
Yes.
yeah.
It does. If you don't do it before the end of your time on the board, then you can't be on the board again. And then also, I guess we could bring this up now just so that we have it in place sooner rather than later. You may have noticed that Joe added a footer in his email. It is something.
I don't know if I sent one
required to
out
have.
since I
Oh,
did
okay.
it. I sent you
You
one.
sent me one.
I was gonna bring it up to
Actually,
you.
there's some
Yeah.
language that we, maybe Michelle, can you send it to everyone?
I can send it to everyone. I just wanted to ask at the
It's
meeting.
informational, so you can send it to everyone. It's basically a footer in the email saying, don't reply to this email, this is for informational purposes only. If you reply to this email, you will be in violation of public meeting law.
So it's just, do you know how to add a signature to your email?
Do I know how?
Yeah.
So
That's why I
if
didn't send it
needed,
to you, because I thought I'd bring it up at the meeting, because I can teach you how easily.
Yeah,
or
we
probably
can
Michelle
grab
could, or
comments.
anybody that knows Outlook fairly well can show you how to add a signature. And what I can do is I can send it to you, because I've already written it out, and we can just do a cut and paste, and you can add it to your. Do you know how to?
I have a foot phone.
That's why I have a
You know how to- you know how to add it on your laptop, I guess is the
we
question.
can make sure we get it.
Otherwise, you'll have to type it in every time you send an email. I think that might be painful if you try to do that. You're like 333, 4444.
That's why I always
Into
want
the
to
right
text.
place.
I'll send the other 3 board members just a blank email or a test email that has that
With the text.
footer on it. And it's a matter of you just need to add a signature so that any board emails you send, it'll just automatically print that at the bottom of your email. It's real easy to do, but if you've never done it, it's a little tricky to find, so.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
very
not
easy.
required if you're replying to, like, if someone in this room were to email you, you don't have to put on there, it's in Word.
The board,
Yeah.
and board.
And that kind of reminds me or brings back a thing. We were supposed to do a thing for the school, you know, the safety,
This
security thing.
two-factor authentication, yeah, I still haven't gotten it. We talked about that at the policy meeting in regard, like,
Okay,
it also.
all right.
made me
I thought maybe I
remember,
missed
so-
it somewhere, but it hasn't come
No,
out.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay, all right, cool.
I do know they did say we would be the last ones to get that rolled out to us, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't know if it rolled around by me.
It did too, rolled around by me too.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes, anybody else got anything for the next meeting agenda items? If you do, email me and, you know, we'll get it on here.
So that was one of my questions. Do you set the agenda? You make the agenda.
I meet with Susan and Michelle, and between the three of us, Michelle usually has everything that has been on the agenda in previous years,
Sure.
During that month,
Right.
that she brings and says, okay, we need, do we need this on there again, and then Susan and I will talk current things that are
Right.
going on
Right.
that we need to put on here, usually the week before.
Yep.
I think we met last week sometime, I can't remember what day it was, but.
It's all a blur right now,
Yeah,
so.
I know I was sitting in your office for a
Yes.
little while,
We
but,
were.
but yeah, we try to meet the week before, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, so that we can talk and get agenda items and have time for Michelle to get it in the packet and then get it up to us on Friday, so we have the weekend to look at it.
Can I take a moment to say Michelle rocks?
Yeah, she does.
Yes, you may. You rock.
I mean, with everything else that-
Communication with Michelle couldn't be easier or more efficient. Thank you very much for all that you do.
With everything else that she's been doing this year and been doing an outstanding job.
I appreciate it.
But that can kind of go down here on the next one for board thanks too. So,
I already did it now.
all right, so that takes care of the agenda item. Now, board thanks. Yep.
I wanted to thank Susan for adding Heritage Day information to the superintendent report, and also for sharing information about the White Bear, which I am now going to look up.
Oh, it was pretty impressive.
Fantastic.
You'll look up what?
Her
Literally, right
poetry.
there's poetry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as always, thank you everyone who takes so much time to sit and listen to us work through business and get reports from people. I know it's late into your evening every time, so thank you for being here.
Okay.
We happy? Susan has arranged for Ryan and I to go to schools and meet with teachers and stuff. I want to thank everybody that comes. I love going into schools, and I love the opportunity to be able to talk to everybody. So thank you for your hospitality and your wasting your morning. But thank you for that. I know it's after the workday, so I'm glad that people are willing to be with us.
I think I forgot to say thanks Sandy for buying me dinner last night on our date.
We went to dinner between our meetings, yeah, and the guys at Starbucks thought we were a couple. It cracked him up, but I was a little insulted that he thought that was so funny. But I bought his dinner anyway. You're welcome, Mary.
Modern change, usually the guy bought the dinner.
That's right. Yeah,
Equal opportunity here.
that's right. I am a woman.
Joe, you got anything?
I just want to thank them now. Steve's not here tonight, but I went to the middle school site council meeting for October. And small meetings when people were gone, but still it was very informative, and I was glad I could be there. I'm going to try to be, they have site council meeting monthly, I'm going to try to be at least every other month if I can. Maybe even every month if I fit the schedule.
And Joe, will you tell me about site council, like what are these different meetings? This is an internal.
A site council is it still required, Susan? Because it came in 20 years ago or whatever it was.
It's still in the law.
It's still in the law, yeah. So it's basically a requirement to have a site council that includes administrators, teachers, and community members, all basically meeting once a month to talk about the school.
Okay.
And what's going on, what's in the plans. I don't know if you guys want to talk more to it briefly, but yeah, it's a way to improve communication between the administrative teachers and the community on what's going on in the schools, basically.
And that's at every school has a
We do it through our
Through our PTO. So at the PTO, which is combined, we give principal updates and any presentations or things they want to ask about resources, and it's a nice partnership between, because we do have teachers and staff that are on the PTO along with parents, along with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to loop me in on that right after.
Yep, I wrote myself a note.
Perfect, thank you.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
You should learn about vote and.
Right, all the fun stuff. I already know about dates on Fridays.
Yes, Friday dance.
We talked about it, they talked about wanting to put a book fair back into the middle school, but they didn't like what Scholastic does, or has been doing for the last number of years, so they're looking at for alternatives. Well, basically Scholastic has become a, let's sell you junk, and,
But it kind of ages out at a certain reading.
well, that should
level,
too, that's
it seems like.
Okay, thank you for that.
Great, do you have any?
Everyone who came tonight, there's a big turnout, so it's good to see people getting involved.
Nice. Okay. And, I want to thank all the employees for talking about it, like I always do.
absolutely.
Takes them all to make the district what it is. I think it's an outstanding district. And I also want to thank, I thank people before that had to do with the barbecue, but the barbecue wouldn't have been possible without these people that I'm going to mention right now. And they're the people who contributed the money for the barbecue. And Mainline Pump, Boise Credit Union, Consumers Power, Marcotte Distilling, Falmouth Rotary, Falmouth Frolic, and Pioneer Connect all donated money so that we could have the beginning of the year barbecue for the staff. So it's great that they stepped up and gave the district funds to, be able to have that barbecue.
That's great.
And I can't, better not forget the city of Plymouth who let us borrow their barbecue. Because we wouldn't be able to cook no hamburgers without it, so.
You get your arm hair done?
I walked in and I became the head barbecuer. Without knowledge ahead of time. I learned off a little bit.
I think that barbecue was the size of my first house growing up. Like, that thing is huge.
It is, it's huge, but you can cook a lot in a small amount of time, so it works good when you're trying to serve that many people and come in. That's
I took one look at it and I was like, that's someone else's job. I'm gonna go talk to people.
And I got volunteered.
Can we back up for the next meeting agenda items?
Yeah.
I think, so we have all those, I asked before about expectations of going to these different, all these liaison roles we have.
Yep.
I think there ought to be something written up, so every time there's a new board member, there needs to be expectations or what, like, example of the Rotary Alliance Club. There ought to be something that you give a new board member. So, because there's all these roles, there's what, 20 different things or whatever's on that list, but there's no expectations or no requirements or no guidelines.
No guidelines, just
Yeah,
what you're supposed to
so
do.
there should be something that when a new board member comes on, you have information to give them.
Well, not necessarily a new board member, but each year that we do this, it's kind of a refresher that even though you're not the liaison for Rotary, you know what that person is going to be doing and what's expected of them and
With contact information and all
yeah.
that.
Well,
That's
for
a
the
great
chamber,
idea.
like going to the chamber, great, we go, or we gather information, bring back, or we take the information.
yeah.
That, and if we're gathering information, bring back, then we have to give that information to you for the agenda item. So I understand the purpose of going, but at the moment, I don't see where it does anything. Because we don't have it, there's no layout of what that is.
Okay.
I think that would be definitely a little mini work session in the middle of the meeting to work
Yeah.
through that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we already talked about that, like, the purpose of it, the value of it, like,
In your eyes.
we need directions.
Okay, and this comes back to me for board requests. Does anybody else have any board requests?
I just have one thing, it came up in public comment last time around, that it would be nice if we honor our Heritage Art History Months. So I just want to put one to read, if that's okay. Three or four sentences. So October is LGBTQ+ History Month, which honors members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, gender nonconforming, and queer communities. October was chosen to nationally commemorate LGBTQ+ history, political activism, and contributions because several important dates followed in the month, including National Coming Out Day, which was October 11th, Spirit Day acknowledging LGBTQ+ youth, which is October 20th, Asexual Awareness Week, which is during the last week of October and Midwest. And this is pulled from the Harvard University website, so if anybody would like to look that up, that's fine. And next month, I will read about National Disability Employment Awareness Month. That's another point. Oh, sure. I lied. That's this one also. I apologize. Next month is National Native American Heritage Month. I misread last time.
Okay. Board request is I'm going to get a hold of OSBA on a superintendent evaluation again because it's getting to be that time of year and start the conversation with them on doing the evaluation again this year. I know it's going to cost some money, but I think last year we spent money on that and I think it was money very well spent to get the information back that we got and the way we got it back that basically non-traceable. I mean, people can be honest with their responses, knowing that it's not going to come back to them in any way, because if nobody knows who says it, there can't be any retribution against anybody. So that's what I like about using them. We tried it a couple years ago, and people were afraid to put honest responses in it simply because it went through the district server, and there is a possibility, although, I'll just put it this way, if it were ever to happen, I would think heads would roll, as far as they wouldn't be employed here anymore with doing things like that, because I don't believe in doing that, but, because I believe in people should be able to be honest in their response and not worry about any retribution to being honest when they respond to something like that. And using the OSBA, it's all been basically off-site through their parties, their servers and stuff, so we as a board don't even know where the stuff comes from. We did give names last year of people to contact, and they chose who they contacted. We don't even know who they contacted for sure. And then they brought us back the information and correlated everything and gave it to us that way. Very, very good, but nobody knows who said what. So I think that's as much as I hate spending money like that, I think it's a good thing to spend the money on is to get a good, honest evaluation of the superintendent of our district.
Who has access? Oh, I'm sorry.
That was my question. I remember here when we first started, but we never saw a report. Was that posted before we became board members, or?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the board that has access to the responses or the information?
The
summary.
The summary.
Well, the way it worked last year is, we contracted with OSBA, and they came down and gave us an overview of what they would do. We agreed to do that, and then we gave them a list of names, community members, business people, and staff and whatnot. And we gave them a list of who they contacted. I don't know, but they had a list of I think 35 people.
Yeah, they had 35 people on the list.
That they could contact.
And how did those names get on the list? Who suggests that?
We-
I just don't know.
The district, the board,
Susan makes up the list.
we give names, administrators, teachers, business people, community members, and just, and throughout 35 names. I think they wanted 35 was the max.
They wanted 30 and we gave them 35,
Yeah.
so.
And so you're in on that part of it, where you give names also?
Yeah.
What we did was OSBA had said, what we want to do is make sure we cover a broad brush of making sure that we have your associations represented, so your licensed association, your classified association, some of your administrators, some of your unrepresented staff, the ESD, community partners that we work with. So I think we had PYC in that mix. We had police or fire in that mix. And I mean, so it was just kind of saying, if we want to get the cross-section that they're recommending, who fits that? And, you know, and how do we give them information and move forward from there? So what I did was I put together a list of, I can't remember how many names, and then you and I don't know if anybody else was there or not, looked through them to be able to
I think there's more than just you.
I think so.
Sharon or Christopher, I can't remember.
Yeah, and then it was just really being able to say, well, what about this person, or should we take this one off in lieu of, so that was the conversation.
I guess
And
my
then
question
we-
is the findings of what.
Yes, so
what happened.
that was presented to us in executive session, I believe.
I thought we had it out here in open session.
He shared the
Summary.
summary stuff with us.
Yeah.
And then they had, I think, excuse me, a single page summary, but we got to see an executive session charts, the graphs.
Yeah.
But we did do it in this room because that room was under construction.
Yep.
So that's probably.
Because I think our-
And then that's what this year's professional development goals were based off of for the most part.
Our first
And some-
meeting,
I can pull that up and share.
I just, because our first meeting, Rick, I think Rick said there's some things to work on, some things to review, that's all we've heard. So if we do another one, we keep saying they don't have the
Yep, we'll make
last
sure
word
you have that.
to see if those improvements were,
I can picture his face, but I can't put a name with
Vince
it.
Adams.
Vince Adams, that's right. He's from Corrales, but he works for OSBA, and so he was kind of managed the OSBA end of it. And I'll get a hold of him and see if we can, you said you have,
I do.
oh, do you? Okay. Can
And
you
this is
get that?
annual, right?
Huh?
Annual?
It's annually, yeah.
Yeah, I can make sure that it's out.
Yeah, okay.
when we got what we did last year, so when we do this one to compare
Yeah.
it to.
Yeah, well, that's why I say Susan will send it to you too,
Okay.
so that you'll have it. I have it somewhere buried in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything else on the desk, it's not that deep. But yeah, Susan will send that to you, so you guys can look at that. I'll get a hold of Vince and see if we can't get started on this year's, because we were a little late last year.
I was gonna say, is there a deadline, or is there?
There is, they'd like to have you start in November.
Okay.
We had to have the meetings to attend before the beginning of winter break last year because we were running behind.
Well, I think
they
we had to rush to get it during the break, and we just barely got it in before the end of Christmas
Is that what
break.
it was?
So,
I remember we were like,
yeah, but that kind of put us behind, and then everything else runs off of that, that's a little bit
Right.
later than normal.
Right.
But and then it's hard to kind of get the picture of it in time to, set goals and things
Right.
for this year,
Right.
and talk to the superintendent about how how people perceive what's going on in the district, so.
Okay, all right, thank you for explaining.
Yeah, so we'll get that to you, but yeah, I'll get started on that, that's on my list of things to do before our next board meeting.
and then under that same umbrella, we had discussed at our work session having a little outreach to OSD around setting district and board goals, having their guidance to come in and help us through that
That's
process,
when-
like a year-long.
That's when the person that was with us will come back and start pieces
Yeah.
of that. So that's a second.
Yeah, we've already
Oh,
paid for that second session, so we're
Yes,
just
but
trying
that
to
was a
get, we're
different
trying to get the date, and that stuff will be covered.
She'll start down that pathway
cool.
in some
Yeah.
ways, but,
Yeah.
and then we can decide how, if we continue to contract with them to get to a different level of depth, or
Okay.
if we're good, or what we want to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
I have a question on policies, and all of this goes for the next meeting, or Aaron might know. One thing that seems concerning to me is, as a board member, there's no background check. Not that I'm concerned about anybody, but across the nation, if the school board doesn't do a background check, you have access to all the schools as a volunteer to pass a background check. I don't know if that's something that got overlooked, or if it is.
We've talked about that a lot.
Years ago, when
we have to.
when I first got on the board, I went through the background check as a volunteer because I was a board member. And we haven't done it for years, and I don't know why, but you know, I would be in favor of all the board members going through the volunteer background check so that we're at the same level as any other volunteer in the
Because you
district.
are volunteering.
I believe that is actually on the list of that policy.
Okay.
We might just need to double check.
Oh, is
The volunteer policy, I think that the school board is listed there,
I'll
but
recommend
it's
you
been
add
long enough
that
since I read it.
Yeah,
And that's definitely, if it's not there, that's definitely something.
yes, but if it is there, we need to get in compliance with that policy.
Right,
Yes.
absolutely.
Like I said, I'm not concerned about us, but it's other schools as well. If a board member just wander in, you should have something. I mean, we have to do nothing to just get voted in.
And I think that holds true of almost every single elected official in our country, which is an interesting conundrum there. That's like, that's why it's that way, because we are elected, so we follow the same with the rest of them, regardless of who. But I'm all in favor of adding it to policy.
I mean, as a 4-H leader, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, as a, like, classroom volunteer.
Yeah, I just think it would be.
And that might be the working assumption, is we've all just sort of assumed that all of us are volunteers.
Well,
in the district.
if you go through a community election and you have skeletons in your closet, you're probably going to come out in your election. Who knows?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You can go onto the website and just submit a background check application.
Oh. That's a good idea.
They're on the website?
Yeah.
The process is on the, you do it all online.
Since I've been a teacher in the district, is mine already in there?
No.
I think you have to.
Oh, okay.
You retired, they threw all your paperwork into a.
I've been
Archive.
fingerprinted many times, for good things.
Aaron, I'll direct this at you. The board, compensation thing,
There has not been
where is
an
that?
update. There has not been an update.
We talked about that at the OSBA session when we were at LDL. And the biggest thing is, nobody's going to talk about it right now. It'll probably be fixed in the 2024 short session. But the issues really are about ethics violations.
Conflict of
And-
interest.
Yes, and so it's finally getting to a place where it's like, well, we never thought about that. You know, of course, then somebody said, well, then what you do is then you vote, you know, individual raises, so you could say, Brian, we think you're okay, so we're going to give you a raise, and Joe, no, we're not going to give you one. And so, but apart from that, it's voting yourselves compensation and how that works out. But their hope is that that will be addressed and repaired
Congress does that.
in the
also.
short session.
Yeah.
They do. A
Legislature.
lot of the left, yeah. They did offer us a variety of solutions, but their main guidance on the topic, and by that I mean SBA, was let's wait and see what happens as a legislature.
Well, I
And
didn't
that was
know
the strongest.
if you heard anything. I knew what Susan and I
Yeah.
heard over there, but I didn't know if there's anything else
No, I
floating
think it's
around.
been crickets since that
Okay.
update from ODEC came out.
Okay. All right, well, hearing no
Which is such
other
an
requests.
unfortunate thing for me.
I'm going to adjourn.
Like, I sent a text from my phone that it did the footer, the signature didn't even work on my side.
Running from one meeting to the other. Still no phone.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Just wait for like a
Like, this is.